Furthermore, creation versus evolution. Questions can line up your answers. Young age of the stars. How old do you think the stars are? Evidence from the stars themselves. I don't know if this is still open or not. No, can't tell now from here. Let's go back. Young age of the stars. Star clusters. One type of galaxy in outer space is the star cluster. There are many of them, and within each one are billions of stars. Some of these clusters are moving so rapidly that it would be impossible for them to remain together if the universe were very old. Point of logic? What do you think? Large stars. Some stars are so large and radiate energy so rapidly that they could not have contained enough hydrogen to radiate at such fast rates for long ages, because their initial masses would have had to have been too immense. Point 3. High energy stars. 4 types of stars radiate energy too rapidly to have existed longer than 50,000 to 300,000 years. Binary stars. This is a big one. Most stars in the disk of galaxies are binary stars, 2 stars revolving around another. Yet frequently, one is classified as very old and the other very young. This cannot be. New light from binary stars indicates that the universe is young. Let's take a look at this. New light from binary stars. After 29 years of research, a creation astronomer has observable evidence that stars can't be billions of years old. Twinkle, twinkle, little stars? Yes, unless they have been living in a cave for the past decade. You've heard about the popular television competition, Dancing with the Stars. Well, everyone loves a star, but the real stars are in the nighttime sky, and most of them have a dancing partner too. So they're binary stars. Did you ever know that? Most of them are binary stars. When you stare up at a twinkling point of light in the night sky, you might actually be looking at a system of stars, not just a single one. Systems of 2 stars, binary stars, orbit one another on a continual basis. More than 60% of the single points of light we observe at night are multiple star systems. Some are 3 or more stars, but such groups are usually unstable. As a professional stellar astronomer, my focus for the past 30 years has been the observation and analysis of binary stars that regularly eclipse each other. One star periodically passes in front of the other. The variation in a binary star's apparent brightness during the eclipse reveals much helpful details about both stars, including their temperature, atmosphere, geometry, mass, and much more. Without binary stars, we can only guess at what the nature of stars is. We find that they are suns similar to our own burning in the heavens. As a creationist who believes in God created the universe only a few thousand years ago, I've discovered that these fascinating 2-in-1 stars shed light on another aspect of our vast, mysterious universe. These stars must be young, finding that undermines deep time theories of binary star evolution. Older than the stars. Eclipsing binary stars are favorite targets of professional and amateur astronomers because their characteristics change so rapidly. Spots and other distortions, and even the time needed to complete an orbit, the orbital period, vary fast enough to be observed well within the lifetime of a single observer, usually within months, years, or decades. The constant change is surprising. However, if the universe is 13.8 billion years old and wearing down, many of these changes should no longer be taking place, or should be rarely seen or never seen by a single observer. This hints that something is wrong with dating schemes that indicates the universe is so old. You can read on this about this. It's fascinating. I don't know if we have pictures of it or not. No. It's a fascinating subject, and it's right out there. It's not for some professional. So, high energy stars, binary stars. Now, how about hydrogen in the universe? Is that the indicator of age? Hydrogen cannot be made by converting other elements into it. Therefore, if the universe were as old as the theory requires, there would now be very little hydrogen in the universe. Age of the universe. A sizable amount of information on this is given in Origin of the Solar System. So evidence from our solar system, solar collapse, our sun is gradually shrinking at a steady rate. It is occurring fast enough that as little as 50,000 years ago, the sun would have been so large that our oceans would boil. In far less time, in the past 25,000 years or so, all life on Earth would have ceased to exist. Solar neutrinos. The sun is emitting hardly any neutrinos. This, coupled with the fact that the sun is shrinking, points to a recently created sun. Comets. Comets circle the sun and are assumed to be as old as our solar system. Since they are continually disintegrated and a number of are known to have broken up, evidently all of them self-destruct within a relatively short time period. It is estimated that the comets cannot be over 10,000 years old. Comet water. Comets are primarily composed of water. So many small comets strike the Earth that if our planet was billions of years old, our oceans would be filled several times over with water. Solar wind. The sun's radiation blows very small particles in space outward. All particles smaller than a certain size should millions of years ago have been blown out of the solar system. Yet these microparticles are abundant and still orbiting the sun. Therefore, our solar system is quite young. Solar drag. Small and medium rocks circling the sun are gradually drawn by gravity into the sun. Careful analysis reveals that most would have been gone within 10,000 years, and all within 50,000 years. There is no known source of rock or particle replenishment. So, gravity distorts time. Here's that gravity time dilation we spoke of. The theory utilizes Einstein's general theory of relativity, which is the best theory of gravity we have today. General relativity, GR, has been well established experimentally and is the physics framework for all modern cosmologies. According to GR, gravity affects time. Clocks at a low altitude should tick more slowly than clocks at a high altitude, and observations confirm this effect, which some call gravitational time dilation. What a memory I had. Not to be confused with the better-known velocity time dilation and Einstein's special theory, relativity theory. For example, an atomic clock at the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, England, ticks 5 microseconds per year slower than an identical clock at the National Bureau of Standards in Boulder, Colorado, both clocks being accurate to about 1 microsecond per year, approximately 1 mile apart in altitude, 5 microseconds per mile per year. A large variety of more precise experiments has confirmed gravitational time dilation to an accuracy of better than 1%. Whatever measurements were made at one altitude would not show the effect because everything at that altitude would be slowed by the same factor. You would have to compare clocks at different altitudes to see a difference. So now, while God makes the universe in 6 days in the Earth's reference frame, the light had ample time in the extraterrestrial reference time to travel the required distances. Here's my point. Since gravitational time dilation has been experimentally measured using atomic clocks on airplanes, in which the clocks aboard the airplanes were slightly faster with respect to clocks on the ground, and since this effect is significant enough that the Global Positioning System's artificial satellites needed to have their clocks corrected, and since time dilations due to height differences of less than 1 meter have been experimentally verified in the laboratory, and since gravitational time dilation has also been confirmed by the Pound replica experiment, and since observations of the spectra of the white dwarf Sirius B and experiments with time signals were sent to and from Viking 1 Mars lander relative to gravitational time dilation, then, with all this, it is feasible that larger, more significant time dilation might be possible much further out in the universe, wherein starlight from very, very far away, billions of miles away, might be observed in a very short time on Earth, should Earth be in the center of the universe and be bounded, the universe is bounded and finite. I'm going with that until something better comes along. If the radius of the universe were to be about 450 million light years, in accordance with the Schwarzschild radius, which requires a spherically symmetrical bounded universe, and if the time dilation per mile to be 5 microseconds per year, as repeatedly observed with experiments with atomic clocks, we looked at that above, then that would translate to 4.1 billion year differential in time at the edge of the universe, which is at 450 million years time light traveled to the 1 day's time on the Earth itself. This would make stars at the edge of the universe observable in less than 1 day. So light from stars 450 million light years away can be observed on the Earth in about 2.5 hours. Amazing. Dr. Ball says, from observations of the near heavens, it appears that the Earth is just a few thousand years old. Some stars appear to be billions of light years away. Astrophysicists will admit that the formula which indicates long ages for the stars, known as the redshift, Well, the Doppler effect is in error. The problem is that if we take the formula at face value, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the universe is twice as large as it is on Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday. And on Sunday, it's a toss-up. Recently, a scientist on the East Coast found that the Doppler effect can actually be a phenomenon of the tiring light rather than suggesting an implication of long age. So now a recent theory, rather vigorously advocated by some astrophysicists, strongly questions the constancy of the velocity of light in space and time, as well as the generally accepted Einsteinian nature of the universe. These writers regard the universe much more realistically as Euclidean universe, which is three-dimensional, as in our everyday experience, and the velocity of light as constant with respect to its source, rather than with respect to any observer, as Einstein does. In essence, therefore, the method of this paper leaves astronomical space unchanged, but reduces the time required for light to travel from a star to the Earth. So if you're on the outskirts of the universe, a lot more time goes by. But if you're on the Earth, everything comes in that direction, center of gravity perhaps, then you're going to see things in less than a day. Moon and Spencer say, more specifically and rather surprisingly, the acceptance of Riemannian space allows us to reject Einstein's relativity and to keep all the ordinary ideas of time and all the ideas of Euclidean space out to a distance of a few light years. Astronomical space remains Euclidean for material bodies, but light is considered to travel in Riemannian space. In this way, the time required for light to reach us from the most distant stars is only about 15 years. Okay. Parry Moon and Spencer. Binary stars and the velocity of light. Nice article. Dr. Ball continued, even the stars appeared fully operational at the beginning of the creation. One of the concepts of evolutionary consideration is that some of the stars appear to be much closer. The formula which calculates these distances is by no means proven. But if God wanted them to be 16 billion light years away, that's no problem for an omnipresent personal God. Lubanow states, the idea that the universe is 15 billion years old and that this age gives validity to some evolutionary or developmental cosmology is widely believed but is totally incorrect. It is a classic case of getting the cart before the horse. One of the great astronomers of the 20th century, Sir Arthur Eddington, expressed this idea, this basic principle of cosmology, for the reader resolved to eschew theory and admit only definite observational facts. All astronomical books are banned. There are no purely observational facts about the heavenly bodies. All astronomical measurements are, without exception, measurements of phenomena occurring in a terrestrial observation or station. It is only by theory that they are translated into the knowledge of a universe outside. So, Sir Eddington, in his book on the expanding universe, he said, there are no undisputed observational facts about the universality, including measurements of age and distance. And two, any knowledge we have of the universe, obviously our knowledge is true, only if the theories are true. Eddington was not talking about the solar system so much as about the universe beyond. Many do not realize that the farthest direct age distance measurements that we can make in the universe is limited to about 300 light years, done by triangulation using the diameter of the Earth's orbit as a baseline. All age distance measurements beyond that are indirect and are based on the assumptions which may or may not be valid. Fascinating subject, and it's bereft of so much prejudice because people just don't want to expect that there is a God out there who created all things. All right, Lubanow, one of the fallacies of the Big Bang cosmology is based on the time-distance relationship, because the light from distant galaxies appears to be red-shifted. Otherwise, astronomy had the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So red is the largest wavelength. Red-shifted astronomers believe that the universe is expanding, although the idea of an expanding universe is just one of several possible interpretations of the redshift of the light